Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, January the 12th. We got a 9-game Wednesday slate. As always, guys, we're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each one of these 9 games, break down each team, kind of give my early thoughts, what I do like, taking a first look at this slate on Tuesday night. And then as we do go through each game, we will build out an early core. We'll talk about 5 players I specifically like for both Draftkings and for Yahoo at first look. Now, as always, guys, these are my first looks at the slate with a sport like NBA, man. You've got to pay attention to injury news. You've got to pay attention to updates throughout the day. There's constantly going to be players that get ruled out unexpectedly. It happens almost every single day. You can never set your lineup and forget it with NBA. So if you enjoy these first look videos, you really enjoy these, they help you out a lot, you want to get more content from me, I do provide that over on Patreon, which you can check out. It's linked down below in the description. Get access to my core plays, get access to our Discord chat where you can ask me questions throughout the day. I'm always in Discord to answer questions. Get access to my positional plays, my favorite plays at each position, my rankings, top 20 plays of the day, ranked in order of interest. Also, you can get my favorite Prize Picks plays each day. I do give those out for Patreon members. For those of you that are new here, Prize Picks is the sponsor of this video, so if you want to go check them out, you can do so, link down below in the description, or just when you sign up for Prize Picks, use code NOAH, and they will match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. And take a look at what they have to offer. It is a very simple site to kind of work through, very simple to use. It's pretty much like, player prop based. So you're picking the over or the under on players' projections. As you can see, they already do have some stuff posted for Wednesday's NBA games. They'll get a lot more projections posted, as we, get closer to tip-off Wednesday. You'll start to see, fantasy point projections. Again, you just pick the over or the under. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, and you can win up to 10 extra money on Prize Picks. So go check them out, guys. Sign up and use code NOAH, so that way you do get that deposit bonus when you do sign up. But yeah, let's take a look at Wednesday's 9-game slate. We're going to start off with the Magic and Wizards game. So looking at the Magic today, this is a team I've kind of just been avoiding as of late. They're starting to get healthy again. I know there's some guys that are questionable for today that will definitely, change things if they are out. But Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba are both questionable. If they both play, I don't see too much that really stands out from the Magic just because, at their price points, there's not a ton that I see from this team. I think Cole Anthony is always tournament viable. He always can go out there and put up, 40, 45 DraftKings points any night. On a bigger slate like this, 9 games, I don't think Cole Anthony stands out as a great play personally, but he would at least be viable. In a scenario, though, where Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba get ruled out, then I think we would actually get some value from this Magic team. I'm assuming that Robin Lopez would start at center in that scenario. Robin Lopez, we saw for that stretch whenever Carter and Bamba were both out. Lopez was playing a lot. These games, back in December, 33 minutes against Miami, 32 DK points. All these 3 games were all when Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba were both out. So I don't know if we'd be getting 38 minutes from Robin Lopez, but I think probably low 30s, maybe high 20s is pretty likely. And at 4K, Robin Lopez would be a pretty good value play today if Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba are both out. Now, if they play, again, I don't see too much I like here. If one of the two gets ruled out, so if Wendell Carter gets ruled out and Mo Bamba plays, I think Mo Bamba kind of looks appealing because he would definitely get a little boost if Carter sits. And the same could be said for Carter. If Bamba sits, Carter would get a little boost in that scenario. He would basically be the starting center. And I know his numbers have been better this year when he starts at center and whenever Bamba's not on the floor. So yeah, I think those guys are fine. In that scenario where maybe one of the two is out, if they're both out, then we can look to Robin Lopez. But that's probably it from the Magic. I'm not too excited about many Magic today. Now on the Wizards side, there is a good amount to like from Washington because Bradley Beal got ruled out on Tuesday, and I don't think the pricing really adjusted for Beal being out. Basically the pricing is the same as it was on Tuesday. If not, these guys are a little bit cheaper than they were. Kyle Kuzma had another really good game, 41 DK points, 35 minutes played. Now that Bradley Beal's out, obviously that's beneficial for Kuzma. I still don't know if he's a player that I want to be paying $8K for. I think you're overpaying for Kuzma right now. But his upside is definitely higher with Beal off the floor. Now that Montrezl Harrell is back, I don't see too much interest in Gafford. Gafford, I think his minutes will get cut with Harrell back. I don't think he'll play high 20s into the 30s like he has been. I think he's most likely going to be in the low 20s now that Harrell's back. Same with Rui Hachimura. He's back as well. Spencer Dinwiddie, though, he's definitely the guy that stands out from this Wizards team. It is a back-to-back, and I think this will be the first time all season that Dinwiddie has played on a back-to-back. They did actually come out and say after the game that he is going to be available to play. So Dinwiddie will play today, and it's $6K. That's just way too cheap for him with Bradley Beal out. We saw Dinwiddie have a great game on Tuesday. with Beal out. Played 34 minutes, had 46 DraftKings points, 22 points, 3 rebounds, 10 assists, had a double-double. Look, Dinwiddie's just been great this year with Beal off the floor. He's been a completely different player. It seems like all of his best games this season have come whenever Beal has been out. So at 6K, I think Dinwiddie looks great once again. He was a top play for me Tuesday once we got word that Beal was out. He'll be a standout play once again today. The price tag didn't move on either site. Really, really like Dinwiddie today. And then the rest of the Wizards, like KCP at 5,100, I think this price tag is probably where it should be for KCP. At this price point, he's really unlikely to go out there and put up a score that like you have to have. I know he had 48 DraftKings points against the Rockets, but that's just like that is a total outlier from KCP. Most games he's going to be around 25, 30 DK points, and if he scores that, I mean that's solid, but not really winning you anything at his price point. The rest of these guys I'm not too interested in. I think Dinwiddie is by far the clear play today from the Wizards, and definitely one of the better plays on the slate at first look. But we can move on to the next game, the Celtics and the Pacers. So this is one that doesn't really look appealing. Boston, they do have some guys questionable today. Peyton Pritchard's been out for COVID protocols. I don't know when he's going to return, but right now he's listed as questionable. And then Marcus Smart is doubtful. So Marcus Smart is going to be out, or should be out at least. I don't know if Marcus Smart being out changes too much. We'll have to wait and see what they do with the starting lineup. If Dennis Schroeder winds up starting, he's only 4,800. He would definitely be, a good value play if he winds up starting. If he comes off the bench, I'd be a little bit hesitant. Schroeder has not been great as of late. His minutes have not been that high either. But I think now that Smart is doubtful, that definitely benefits Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder, I think, is the one guy that does stand out from the Celtics team with Marcus Smart doubtful. But Tatum and Brown, I think where they're priced at, they're fine tournament plays. I think between the two, I would rather go to Tatum if I had to pick one. Tatum always has a pretty high ceiling. The floor on him is still somewhat low, especially when the team is fully healthy. Like, when the team's fully healthy, you can see him have pretty disappointing games. And, last game against Indiana in the same matchup, just 38 DraftKings points from Tatum. But 9,500, price tag came down a little bit. I think Tatum's a fine, low-owned dart throw. Again, I think Schroeder, if he starts for Horford, or if he starts for Smart, I think, Schroeder would be a good value play. And that's probably it. Maybe Josh Richardson would start for Smart. If they start Josh Richardson, then at 4,200, you could consider him. But I'll be very interested to see who winds up starting for Marcus Smart because, if it does wind up being Dennis Schroeder, I think Schroeder at 4,800 is going to look like a pretty decent value play. But moving on to the Indiana side, so with the Pacers here, we got to watch the injury report. Karis LeVert and Malcolm Brogdon are both questionable. Even if they get ruled out, I don't think that really makes me want to just run to roster these Pacers guys because, the Pacers have been playing without Brogdon and LeVert for a while now. So the pricing has adjusted for that. Sabonis is 10K. Miles Turner is 6,100. I will say that Miles Turner does feel a little bit too cheap. I know he's been pretty inconsistent as of late. Did not have a good game last game against Boston, but I think Miles Turner at this price point, especially if LeVert and Brogdon do sit again, I think Turner has some upside. Sabonis last game, kind of came on late in the game. I know he really struggled early on, but he wound up finishing with a triple-double, 11 points, 10 assists, 22 rebounds. He played a ton. That game did go to overtime. He played 40 minutes in regulation, 45 minutes, counting overtime. Sabonis' workload lately has been, insane. He's been playing 38, 40 minutes a night. At 10K, I think he's a solid pay-up option if LeVert and Brogdon remain out. If LeVert and Brogdon play, then I wouldn't be too excited about Sabonis at that price point. Same could be said for Miles Turner. The rest of these guys are only viable for me if LeVert and Brogdon are out. So Lance Stevenson, Dwayne Washington, Sykes, I'd only be considering those guys if they sit. Even if they do sit, I still don't think any of them stand out as great plays today at their price point. So this game in general, I'm not too excited about outside of Dennis Schroeder for value if he winds up starting for Marcus Smart. But we can move on to the next game, Charlotte and Philadelphia. So looking at Charlotte today, LaMelo Ball, 8,700. This price tag on LaMelo Ball, I think, does make him look like a pretty appealing tournament play. Now, LaMelo, we kind of know the deal with him. He has a somewhat low floor. We've seen LaMelo get in foul trouble a lot this year. We've seen him have some pretty disappointing games. But we know he can go out there and put up a triple-double any night, can put up 55, 60 DraftKings points any night. 8,700, you're not paying a premium for LaMelo today. So I think in tournaments, he does look pretty appealing. I think Miles Bridges is, 7,500 is fine as a mid-range, small forward. We know Miles Bridges, if the game is close, is going to play 38, 40 minutes. I mean, the Hornets, they're going to run a super tight rotation here. I'm pretty sure last game they ran an 8-man rotation with Kelly Oubre out, and Kelly Oubre, he's out right now for COVID protocols, so you're going to see a tight rotation for the Hornets. You're going to see big minutes for their main guys, LaMelo, Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward. Those four guys are probably going to play, high 30s minutes if this game stays close. And then, PJ Washington will get some run off the bench. Mason Plumlee, I'm kind of interested in. We haven't seen him play against Philly yet this year, so these teams have played twice this season, but Mason Plumlee was out both games. In a matchup against Embiid, do they play Mason Plumlee more? Do they want Mason Plumlee out there guarding Embiid? I think they would probably rather have him out there than PJ Washington. I don't really know. But at 4,300, Plumlee as a tournament option, nobody's going to play Plumlee today. I think he's worth a sprinkle. Obviously, the matchup's not good, but in a scenario where he does get more minutes than we expect, we know Plumlee can produce. He does have upside. He's one of those guys that can, kind of contribute in all categories. So as a low on dart throw, I think Plumlee's kind of viable. And I don't think really anyone's going to play him. So do have a little bit of interest there. Cody Martin off the bench did play 28 minutes last game with Kelly Oubre out. He's 4K, so I think as a value option, he'll probably play high 20s minutes without Kelly Oubre. He's a viable option too, but that's really it from Charlotte. I think we kind of talked about everything that really stands out here. So on the other side with the Sixers, I do like some of these Sixers today because obviously this is a great spot against Charlotte. Charlotte's kind of been a team we've been picking on all season. They play super fast. Right now, in terms of pace, they're actually leading the league in pace. And in terms of defensive rating, they've been one of the worst defensive teams in the league. I think it's a fantastic spot for Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has been going off as of late. 55 DK points in a blowout against Houston. 58 against the Spurs. Had a 72-point game against Houston. He's done really well against Charlotte so far this year. 62 Draftkings points he's averaged through 2 games against them. On this slate specifically, you do have some other pay-up options. You have LeBron. You have Luka. You have Dejounte Murray in a great spot against Houston. You potentially could have some of the Nets guys playing without their other stars. Right now, Kyrie and Harden are both questionable. So in a scenario where they were to sit, obviously KD would look great. But I think Embiid definitely stands out as a pretty strong pay-up option today. We'll have to wait and see what other value opens up as the day goes on. If we do get a lot of value today, I think Embiid will definitely be a stud. I might try and prioritize just because I think the matchup is so good for him. And this is a spot where he could go out there and just dominate. So I definitely like Embiid. Outside of Embiid, I think Tyrese Maxey is actually kind of appealing. So Tyrese Maxey is off the injury report. He will be returning from COVID protocols, or at least he should be. He last played on December 30th, so he was out for about a week and a half, close to 2 weeks. It's hard to really tell how many minutes we're going to get from Maxey. Maxey obviously is a younger guy. He is someone that has shown he can handle playing big minutes. So I think as long as his conditioning is up to par, he'll probably play normal minutes right out of the gate, especially if Seth Curry gets ruled out. So Seth Curry was questionable last game and did not play. Seth Curry has been starting at point guard for them lately with Maxey and Milton both out. Now that Maxey is returning, I'm expecting Maxey to move back in the starting lineup. 5,400 for Maxey, especially if Curry's out, you would think that's going to thin their backcourt even more to where probably they play Maxey at least low 30s minutes. 5,400. Definitely too cheap today if we expect Maxey to get back to playing, low 30s minutes in a great matchup against Charlotte. I like Tyrese Maxey quite a bit on this slate. Feel pretty good about him. I do want to make sure that he's in the starting lineup first. And if he does wind up starting and there's no minutes limit, I think Maxey looks pretty appealing today. So I like him quite a bit. I think obviously Embiid stands out as a strong option. That's probably it, though, from Philly. Seth Curry, with him out last game, they did start Korkmaz. Korkmaz did not do that well. Just 24 DK points in 28 minutes. I know he had a pretty good first half, but I think he really, he didn't do anything in the second half. Obviously, the matchup against Charlotte is really good. So in a scenario where Curry is out again, they probably will start Korkmaz again. At 5,200, he'd be a fine option, but I would definitely rather play Maxey at a similar price point if I had to choose one of the two. That's really it, though, from Philly. So we can move on to the next game, talk about Miami and Atlanta. So on Miami today, they're still going to be without their 2 stars. Jimmy and Bam are both out today. So we can expect, pretty heavy workloads for Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry. Now, Tyler Hero is coming off a big game last game where he went for 51 Draftkings points, played 34 minutes. Hero's kind of been up and down this year, but we know the ceiling is there, especially with Jimmy and Bam off the floor. There's just so much usage available. We've seen Hero be a guy that can go out there and take 20, 25 shots. You look at his shot attempts these last few games, 23, 23, 23, 20. He's chucking when he's on the court. I think Tyler Hero at 7,800, even with that price coming up, still kind of looks appealing. I think Kyle Lowry is going to play a ton of minutes. His ceiling may not be as high as Tyler Hero's. We haven't really seen Lowry go out there and put up a massive, massive game. But I think, 7,600, that's probably still a little bit too cheap for Lowry if we expect him to play upper 30s minutes without Jimmy and without Bam in a pretty decent spot against Atlanta. So I definitely think Lowry's viable. Yurt7's been playing great as of late. I think Dwayne Dedmon, though, does have a chance to return today. Right now, Dwayne Dedmon is listed as questionable. If Dedmon does return, I think that will cut into the workload for Yurtseven. I'd assume that Yurtseven will still start over Dedmon, but Yurtseven might not play as many minutes as he has been. Instead of getting like 32, 34, maybe he only plays like 28. At 6,900, like you really need him to get those 33, 34 minutes. I'd feel better about Yurtseven if Dedmon remains out. If Dedmon plays, then I'm not too high on him. And I don't think I'm really looking to many other guys on Miami. So we can move on to the other side of this game, talk about Atlanta. So Atlanta we do have some big news here with Clint Capella currently doubtful. Clint Capella was out last game. We did see Okongwu start at center. And I don't know why, but for some reason Okongwu is only 3,900 today. He played 38 minutes as a starting center last game, and he was in foul trouble. He had 5 fouls. I don't know if the foul trouble limited him at all because he still played 38 minutes. But yeah, Okongwu played a ton. He only scored 23 DK points, but man, the minutes were there. 38 minutes. He's only 3,900. Normally, Okongwu is a pretty productive player when he does get minutes. He's usually going to average around a fantasy point per minute. He's just way too cheap today. I mean, Okongwu is by far one of the best value plays on the slate, assuming that Capella is out again, and right now he's doubtful, so I'm expecting him to be out. Love Okongwu on both sides. He's really cheap on Yahoo as well, $12 over there. I think he looks like a great value play today. Power forward and center eligible on DK, so it's pretty easy to build around Okongwu because you can play him at power forward. Love him from this Atlanta team. I think Trae Young as a tournament play is fine. Matchup against Miami may not be the most ideal situation for Trae Young, but his workload is going to be massive. He's going to take a ton of shots when he's on the court, play a ton of minutes as well. I think at 10-3, like he's a viable GPP play. I don't think I'd be going there like in cash games though. I think in cash I'd probably be prioritizing LeBron, Luka, Embiid, those guys. It's probably it, though, from Atlanta. I don't see too much else I love here. I will say that John Collins without Clint Capella, I think, does benefit. Now, John Collins did not have a great game last game, even when Capella was out. 34 minutes, just 17 Draftkings points. But I think having no Capella, that does allow for maybe Collins to get more minutes at center. Like, whenever Okongwu's not on the floor, I think they're going to basically use Collins at center. Like, I think they're going to stagger the minutes for those two guys. I don't know what they did last game. I think that was a Sunday game. I don't remember that slate that the Capella was out, but yeah, I think Collins, he should benefit without Capella in the long run. I know he didn't have a good game last game, but 7,400, kind of like him as a mid-range power forward option. I think he's the last guy that I want to mention on this Atlanta team. And that's really it from Atlanta. So we can move on to the next game, Dallas and New York. So looking at the Mavs today, Porzingis, still out for the Mavericks with health and safety protocols. I mean, without Porzingis, we kind of know that Luka is going to be the number one on offense. He's going to be the guy that runs the show, gets all the usage. His numbers this year with Porzingis off the floor have actually really not been better. I think his numbers have actually been worse whenever Porzingis is out. But I still think Luka's a pretty appealing pay-up option here. The matchup against the Knicks, I don't think it's that scary. Like the Knicks defensively this year have not been nearly as good as they were last season. So I think Luka at 10-9 definitely stands out as a pretty solid pay-up option today. Probably would rather play Embiid, probably would rather play LeBron, but definitely think Luka's in play. Jalen Brunson at 7,700, probably too expensive for my liking, especially with Luka in the lineup. You're just paying a premium for Brunson right now. I think Brunson is really only in play at this price point whenever Luka and Porzingis are both out, and obviously that's not the case today. I mean, I don't see too much I like from the Mavs outside of Luka. Maxi Kleber's been playing really well, starting in place of Porzingis, but now he's up to 4,900, so at this price point, I'm not too excited about Kleber either. It's really just Luka from the Mavs. And then on the Knicks side, this team, they still kind of remain injury depleted. No Derrick Rose, and right now Kemba Walker is questionable once again. Kemba Walker was questionable last game, did not play. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if Kemba plays. If he does, that's definitely going to hurt guys like RJ Barrett, Alec Burks. Still don't know yet. Like, if Kemba winds up playing today, does he go back into the starting lineup? Like, I really don't know. Even if Kemba plays today, I don't really have any interest in him for DFS, but I think it would hurt some of these other guys to a point where they really wouldn't be, like, priority plays for me. Julius Randle has not been great as of late, but, man, his price tag is down to $8,500. Like, that is really, really cheap for Julius Randle. Normally, this is a guy that we see priced, like, in the 10K range. He's been in the 10K range basically all season. Now he's had some bad games. He's been really inconsistent, but $8,500 for Julius Randle, I think that looks appealing. I think as a tournament play, he is definitely on my radar. He's probably my favorite play from the Knicks in general. Alec Burks, if Kemba Walker remains out, is fine. Like, Alec Burks has been starting at point guard lately, been playing pretty big minutes. I'd assume he would start at point guard once again if Kemba remains out. So 5,600, like, he's an okay play. But that's really it from the Knicks. I think we kind of touched on everything here. Not a team I really have much interest in, given where everyone's priced at. So next game, Houston and San Antonio. So looking at the Rockets first, Christian Wood coming in at 6,900. I mean, this is a pretty nice price tag on Christian Wood. I know, so far as of late, he's been inconsistent, but like last game against Embiid, I mean, that was a really, really tough spot for Christian Wood. He did play 36 minutes, though, which was great to see. So far this year, Christian Wood's minutes have not been as high as I would like. Like, even in competitive games, he sometimes only plays like 30 minutes. The Rockets are a team, they want to spread out the minutes. They want to play their young guys. I don't think the Rockets really care about winning games. So, like, they're not going to push Christian Wood and play him like 38 minutes. But if this game does stay close, it is a pretty good matchup against a fast-paced San Antonio team. I think Christian Wood definitely has upside here, and I think 6,900 is probably too cheap for him. I mean, this is someone that we saw be priced in the 8K range, 9K range basically all season. He's had some bad games, and now his price has come way down to 6,900. Definitely think Christian Wood's a viable tournament play. I think the same could be said for Kevin Porter Jr., another guy that's been really inconsistent, but when you do get KPJ in a close game, he probably will play low 30s minutes, and 5,800 for KPJ I think is viable in a pretty decent spot against a fast-paced Spurs team. So Wood, KPJ, both in play for me. Don't see too much else I like from Houston. It's really just those two guys as tournament plays, and that's really it from the Rockets. And then on the Spurs side, Dejounte Murray, I like quite a bit today. I think this is a great spot for Dejounte Murray. I mean, so far this year, Houston has been, they've been one of the better matchups as well, kind of up there with Charlotte. Whenever you get to face the Rockets, I mean, it's just a great spot. The Rockets are playing at the second fastest pace in the league this year. And in terms of defensive rating, they're dead last in defensive rating. They've literally got the worst defensive rating in the league. So they're a super fast-paced team. They play no defense. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better spot for Dejounte Murray. 9,700, I think, still probably too cheap for him. I mean, we've seen the upside that he has, especially with all these guys out right now. No Derek White, no Keldon Johnson, no Devin Vassell. Like, the workload for Dejounte Murray has just been massive. He's playing a ton of minutes. He's got triple-double upside. I like him a ton in this matchup. I think, Jakob Poeltl at 6,300 looks pretty appealing as well. I think both centers in this game, Wood and Poeltl, do stand out as pretty solid mid-range center options. If you want to go to Poeltl, I think he's viable. Lonnie Walker, price tag came up a little bit. He started last game, played 27 minutes, had 25 DK points. Again, love the matchup against Houston. Should be a fast-paced game. Assuming that Lonnie Walker's still starting, I think he's a pretty solid play. I mean, you see the last two games he has started, he's played pretty good minutes, and he's taken a ton of shots. 19 field goal attempts last game, 20 shots the game before that. Did not even shoot the ball that well. 26% from the field, 14% from three last game. Still scored a pretty solid 25 DK points. Imagine if Lonnie Walker shot 50% from the field last game. He would have scored 35 DK points. So I still do like Lonnie Walker for value at 4,600. And that's probably it from San Antonio. Josh Primo has been starting lately. Played 28 minutes last game, had 22 DK points. He's not been a great point per minute player this year. So far in the starting lineup, he hasn't been producing at a great rate, but the minutes have been there at 4K against Houston. If you get 30 minutes from Josh Primo, I think he's another viable cheap option. But I think Murray, Poeltl, Walker, my three favorite guys here from the Spurs team. Definitely like those guys because obviously the matchup against the Rockets is really, really good. We can move on to the next game, talk about Cleveland and Utah. So Cleveland today, I mean, I'm not too excited about many Cleveland guys. I will say that, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, Jared Allen specifically, I actually do like this matchup quite a bit. Obviously, Rudy Gobert is out right now for Utah, so Jared Allen is going to be matched up with Hassan Whiteside. And Hassan Whiteside is just a terrible defender. I mean, he's really slow. Jared Allen's a guy that can definitely eat up in this matchup against Whiteside. I think as a tournament play, Allen looks pretty appealing here. I don't think really anyone's going to play him. I don't think he's going to project that well either. So I definitely like Jared Allen in tournaments. I think he is my favorite play from this Cleveland team. I'm not too excited about many other Cavs, though. It's really just like Jared Allen for me, and that's it. On the Utah side, though, the main Utah guys, Mitchell, Conley, Bogdanovich, I'm not really interested in those guys. I will say, though, Hassan Whiteside, I mean, I know I just shit on him, but Whiteside at 6,200, that's still too cheap for Whiteside. We saw him do really, really bad when he was massive chalk the first two slates that Gobert was out. Whiteside was really cheap those days, 3,500 both slates, and he scored 20 and 17 DraftKings points. But last game, we saw what Whiteside can do. 21 points, 14 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 blocks, 2 steals. Like, that's why we were playing Whiteside. That's why we were slamming him into our lineups when he was 3,500, because he should never be that price tag when he's playing 30 minutes. I mean, Whiteside is normally a great point-per-minute player. I know he struggled the first two games without Gobert, but he looked great last game against Detroit. The matchup against Cleveland here, I don't think is like fantastic for Whiteside or anything, but Whiteside's just such a good point-per-minute player. He scores, he rebounds, he gets assists, or not gets assists, but he scores, he rebounds, he blocks shots. he's a stat sheet stuffer at 6,200. Like, I still think Whiteside looks like a great play today. I like him quite a bit on both sides. I think you can definitely play him on Yahoo as well at the center position. His price tag went up a little bit over there, but still probably too cheap. $21. I definitely like Whiteside today. Once again, I think he's a really strong play. For sure, my favorite play from this Utah team. I'm not too excited about many other Jazz, though, outside of Whiteside. So we can move on to the last two games of the night, the two late-night hammers. First off, Brooklyn and Chicago. So Brooklyn, I mean, this is where we just kind of have to just sit and wait. Brooklyn right now is going to be the focal point of the slate. Kyrie Irving and James Harden are both questionable. I think it was reported earlier that Harden was expected to play, but then, he got ruled questionable. So I'm expecting Harden to play. But again, see, like right here, we got news. Harden is on track to play Wednesday's game against Chicago. And then, later it was reported that he was questionable. So we don't really know with Harden. For now, I'm going to assume that Harden plays. I think Kyrie probably plays as well. Kyrie did hurt his ankle late in that game against the Blazers, but he wound up playing through it. He played 40 minutes. Like, they could sit Kyrie here, especially if, he's feeling a little banged up. But for now, I'm just going to assume that Kyrie and Harden both play. If that's the case, like, there's really nothing that stands out from Brooklyn. When the big three from Brooklyn are all healthy and they're all priced correctly, there's never going to be any priority plays from me, and I think that's definitely the case today. Obviously, though, in a scenario where Harden is out or Kyrie's out, I mean, you basically just play whoever's in. So, like, if Harden's out and Kyrie plays, I really like KD and Kyrie. If Harden plays and Kyrie's out, I mean, I think Harden and KD would look decent. I will say, though, that, like, at their price points, if Kyrie is out and Harden plays, like, I don't think Harden or KD would be, like, priority plays, just because they're kind of priced where they should be for when Kyrie is out. But I definitely think in a scenario where, like, Harden and Kyrie are both out, then Kevin Durant at 11K would be the best pay-up option on the slate. I mean, we saw there was a stretch of games when Kyrie and Harden were both out, where KD was just smashing like every night. It was these games he was putting up 72, 79 Draftkings points. Like, the entire offense would be Kevin Durant. Just give the ball to Kevin Durant and get out of the way. Like, that would be the offense for Brooklyn in a scenario where Harden and Kyrie are both out. If Harden and Kyrie do both wind up sitting, obviously would love KD. I think Patty Mills at 4,800 would be a great play as well. I would like him a lot for value if both those guys wind up sitting. But it's just a wait and see here with Brooklyn. I mean, half their team's questionable right now. Their two stars are questionable. We just don't really know. We're just going to have to wait and see. Hopefully we get an update from Brooklyn sometime in the afternoon. This is one of the late night games. I don't know when we're going to get injury updates from Harden or Kyrie, but hopefully it comes in the afternoon. We can talk more about this in the live stream on Wednesday. As always, I will be live on my YouTube channel an hour before lock, and we can touch on all the latest injury updates. But that's really it for Brooklyn. Now on the Chicago side, I don't see too much I really like from the Bulls today. This is a back-to-back for the Bulls, so pay attention to the injury report. I don't really think anyone would rest, but anytime a team's on a back-to-back, there's always a possibility you get someone ruled out. If everyone's playing, though, given where they're all priced at, like, again, I don't see too much I like from Brooklyn. I think the matchup for Vooch is pretty good. Like, Brooklyn's a team you can kind of always beat down low with big men. Centers have always done pretty well against Brooklyn, just kind of this year and previous seasons. So, like, as a low-owned tournament dart throw, Vooch is fine. But I don't see too much I love from the Bulls today. A lot of my interest in this game is going to come on the Brooklyn side, especially if Kyrie or Harden winds up sitting. And if both of them sit, then, yeah, there's going to be a lot to like from Brooklyn. But last game of the night, the Lakers and the Kings. So with the Lakers today, obviously AD still out. So, LeBron, 11-7, really expensive. But I think LeBron is definitely one of the better pay-up options on the slate. We have just seen a great workload, a massive workload for LeBron as of late. We've seen him play in a ton of minutes every single night. Obviously, the matchup against Sacramento is really, really good. The Kings play pretty fast. Both these teams play at a pretty fast pace. This should be a pretty fast-paced, high-scoring game. It should stay competitive as well. I mean, if LeBron plays his normal 36, 38 minutes here, he's got 65, 70-point upside against this Kings team. Obviously, LeBron is going to be the entire offense. He's going to take a ton of shots. He's going to get peripherals. He has triple-double upside every night. Really like LeBron on this slate. At 11-7, I think he's a strong pay-up option, and I definitely like him on Yahoo as well. He's a power forward over there, $55. I think right now, at least at first look, he's one of the better pay-up options today. Now, in a scenario where like Harden and Kyrie both sit, then I would probably play KD over LeBron. But for now, we'll just plug in LeBron into our early core. If you want my full updated core plays, again, those are posted on Patreon, normally an hour before lock. You can get access to those. Link down below in the description. But outside of LeBron, I don't see too much else I love on this Lakers team. Westbrook at 9,600 feels priced where he should be. Westbrook's just been really inconsistent as of late. He's been really struggling. Obviously, Westbrook always can go out there and put up a triple-double any night, but I don't think even at 9,600 he really stands out on a big slate like this. Malik Monk's been playing great as of late, but his price is up to 6,200 now, so I'm not that interested in Malik Monk. It's really just LeBron for me, and I think that's it from the Lakers. And then on the Kings side, I think there's some guys you can look to in tournaments here because obviously this is a really good matchup. It's a fast-paced game. You know, De'Aaron Fox as a tournament play, I do have some interest in. I think he will be fairly low owned on the slate. I love the matchup for him against the Lakers. He's done pretty good against the Lakers so far this year. Averaged 42 DK points through 3 games against them. Put up 41 DK points when they played, about a week ago. I think Fox is in play for tournaments at 7,500. I think Halliburton's fine too, but I probably would rather play Fox if I had to choose one of the two. Buddy Hield, one of those guys that can always get hot off the bench. He did have a really good game against the Lakers. This is a type of matchup that does set up pretty well for Buddy Hield. Fast-paced games where there's a lot of shot attempts. Those are the type of games that Buddy Hield usually does well in. And so far this year, he has done pretty well against the Lakers in general. Average of 34 DK points through 3 games against the Lakers. So, as a low-owned tournament play, I think Buddy Hield's fine. Rashawn Holmes is going to be available today. Don't really know what kind of minutes limit he's going to be on. If he is on a minutes limit, he's 5,500. He's really cheap, but even when he's been in the lineup, his minutes have just been all over the place. So it's really tough to feel good about Rashawn Holmes, even at 5,500. Harrison Barnes, 5,300, fine option. Don't feel great about him, but I think, he probably gets you 28, 30 DraftKings points, which is solid at his price point. But obviously the ceiling on Harrison Barnes is really not that high. So I think that's it for the Kings today. And I think that's it for this 9-game Wednesday slate. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, please do hit the like button down below. As always, guys, I appreciate the likes. Hit the subscribe button as well if you have not yet. Go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH when you do, and PrizePicks will match your first deposit. They'll give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. You can take a look at what PrizePicks has to offer. You can make some picks for Wednesday night's NBA games. They have NFL stuff posted for the playoffs this weekend. It's wild card weekend, so if you want to make some NFL picks for the playoffs, you can do that as well. You can mix and match sports. You can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. Go sign up. Use code NOAH so that way you do get your deposit bonus when you make your sign up. But yeah, good luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.